So that must mean that the majority of the people that voted for him wanted him on the city council. Now, you are arbitrarily saying, we got an ordinance that says this, but we're going to ignore it, and we're going to enforce our new rules. Well, you can make new rules, that's fine.
I hadn't heard of new rule.
Did he meet your qualifications when he?
I hadn't heard of new rule.
Well, you're trying to say now that, yes, he not only was here 90 days prior to the election, but also he's got to continue to live in the city. And that's fine, you can have that rule, but you can't make it for the past. You can't retroactively remove somebody from office.
What does the state law say about his qualifications?
The state law says right here, on the one I just read, each municipality can set their own rules, and you did. You got an ordinance that says what your rules are.
Live in the city.
You want to change the rules? That's fine, change them for the future.
Okay.
But you can't retroactively remove somebody from office if he met your rules at the time he was elected.
The thing with that is the people, when they voted for it, they thought he was in the city. Now that he's not in the city, do you think he still had that same support?
He met your qualifications when he was elected. If they don't want him, he doesn't live in there, his next qualification, he won't be eligible to run. That's fine. And if you're gonna change the rules, change them. Change them tonight. So here's our new ordinance.
Yeah.
But you can't
Mr.
go
Jones,
backwards.
if we go by what you're saying, each person that has moved out of the city can continue to serve on the city council, whether they lived in New York or not, once they were elected.
Mr. Mayor, that's your
No,
rules.
that's what you're saying.
You're exactly right. It's your rules. I didn't make the rules.
Well,
I didn't pass that ordinance, and every one of y'all in this room knew that that ordinance was there. You saw it 90 days prior to the election, and you never objected to it
No,
until now.
I'm not objecting to it now.
So you're gonna leave the ordinance as it is?
Sure, we're not here to change that ordinance.
Well, then,
We're here to talk about his qualifications.
then he's qualified under your ordinance.
Not state law, he's not.
State law does not supersede when it says that municipalities can set their own rules, and you did. So you've been cautioned that you're gonna change the rules in the middle of the stream here.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
We're not.
So,
Does anybody else have any other comments?
Yes, I do. Just one quick one. When I was elected, I had a tax bill. Said, City of New Ellenton. Didn't say it was a fee for services, said taxes. I didn't have a choice whether or not I could pay those taxes. I can say, well, hey, man, I was annexed illegally, which I did say. I'm not gonna pay these taxes. I had to pay those taxes. There's another person on this council, when they were elected, their tax bill did not put them in the city. They were in an unincorporated area, were not paying taxes when they were elected. So, I think it goes both ways. At least I was paying taxes when I was elected.
And your point being what?
My point
well, I
being-
make the point on that, Mr. Mayor. Y'all collected taxes from 3 runs while he lived there. He's no longer in the city. Did this council give those citizens their money back?
You want me to speak to that? What you may not be aware of before this consent order, and that's left out a lot, that it was a consent order signed on 40 Run subdivision, is that the owners, we addressed that issue in the litigation with the opposing side. We said the situation is not the same as when this property was annexed in. The developer was the only owner when it was annexed in. You've got improved lots out there, you've got lots sold, it's not the same situation. So in order for any agreement to be reached and a consent order to be submitted, we put a requirement that we wanted 100% of the improved lot owners to agree to the de-annexation, to agree that the services that he had asked for when he wanted to come in had been provided, and that they would not, and the city would take the steps to try and not have the taxes sent out to them this year. And that was agreed by the other side. We took those steps. We had signed statements from the parties. 100% of the improved owners, 80% of the unimproved were the guidelines we set. Those were met, where everybody agreed that they provided the services on there. There was not going to be any claim on those taxes, and that it would, in exchange, we'd move forward on that consent, the de-annex, and then we would try and stop the taxes for this year, which we did. So that's the situation in that. So that was addressed during that litigation.
And I understood that, Andrew. I read the consent order.
Okay.
It was just a point that.
Well, that's not in the consent order.
And I understand.
No, it's not in the consent, but you have the letter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. But I mean, if you knew that, I mean, what's
It
your
was a
point?
point to make that the city here, it seems that in historical data has wanted to pick and choose its battles to fight. You didn't mind keeping people's money in the consent order, making things done so that everything could go through. But now when someone lives outside the city but hasn't violated your ordinance, you want to change the rules on that also. He has met your obligations. He lived in the city 90 days before the election. That's all it says. That's the only qualification right now the city of New Ellenton has. You gotta live in the city 90 days before the election.
And everything would have been fine if the consent order wouldn't have been signed, saying that the annexation of 3 runs was null from the beginning.
I understand. The only point we're making
we
is
wouldn't
that
be
he met the requirements of your ordinance as a qualification to be a council member.
Yeah.
He met those. And he still meets those. He lived here 90 days before the election. You have no other rule. That's the only statute you got.
Only thing we got to fall back on is state law.
And the state law says the city can have their own election rules. It says that. And you've got them.
Basic qualifications are not overruled in about nothing that we have passed.
What do you mean? That's the only
State law
qualifications you
says
can
that.
have. That's the only it's what this council can set any rules you want to.
Exactly, I understand that.
And you have.
I understand that. But if he can't vote, I don't see how he can hold office.
No. He can't vote. He can vote now. He just can't vote in a city election right now.
He cannot vote in a city.
That's right. And we're not arguing that point.
That's right.
The only
That's right.
point we're putting before you now is he met your qualifications when he was elected.
Well, he doesn't make the state requirements.
The state has no requirements other than the ones that you make. That's the law. The state says you can set the rules.
He has to be a citizen of the municipality to hold office.
And,
That's
okay.
all. That's all. Mr. Bowman, would you please stand up and state your name?
James Balknight. I remember
We've been through some tough times in times past with government, with the way our city's been run, and I understand that. I understand we're going through some tough times right now. But let me tell you something. What I do not like, councilman, mayor, citizens of New Ellenton, is the way that we appear to carry ourselves in the news, on the internet, and on these other things. Now, I appreciate each and every one of you. Gene, I appreciate you. Mike that left, I appreciate you. You other guys, I've even got a son that's on council. I appreciate each and every one of you. I applaud you for what you are doing. But, you know, we need to step up and say, hey, what's good for the city? If it's Gene, if it's for you to resign, and let us go and let the city go on and get on about its business, then let's do it, and let's get the people in there to do it, to do the job the way that, you know, it needs to be done. Now, in these times that we see ourselves, our entire economy, over our entire nation, you know, you can't turn on the news anymore without seeing another bailout, another bailout, another bailout. Now, realizing that we have the highest millage rate of anybody in Aiken County, North Augusta, Aiken, any other little town or little city, we should pay more in millage rate than any other one. You know, that needs to be resolved. We need to look at where we're spending and where we're going. We don't need to be doing this fighting of what's right. You know, we just need to be doing the right thing. And if anybody wants my opinion, I personally believe we need to move on with business. Gene, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you've done. I appreciate the effort and all the time that you put into this. And I voted for you to begin with. But I personally believe that the business of New Ellenton belongs to the people who live in New Ellenton right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else have any comments?
Says, according to your rules and regulations, he's a councilman.
One more time, Mr. Mayor, I forgot this. If we loosely interpret, we go in here and we can say, okay, this is what the law says 90 days prior to, You know, if you just stop with those words right there and you just read that one sentence, my dad's been dead